Okay, chapter 1 is all about equations and inequalities. Somebody open the door real quick. And 1.1, section 1.1 is about graphs and graphing utilities. It's pretty basic. Okay, so here are the objectives for this section. Plot points in the coordinate system, graph equations in the rectangular coordinate system, and interpret information from the table. Use a graph to determine intercepts, and interpret information given by a graph. You do not need to write these things down because this is just the objective. And this is a review. Chapter 1, or 1.1 at least, is just a basic review. This says we draw a horizontal line and a vertical line. Here's our X and Y axis. And let's see if this works or not. Here's our origin, and we know our quadrants. Quadrant 1, 2, 3, and 4. Y'all know that? Okay, good. Positive numbers are shown on the right, negative numbers are shown on the left, and then negative is also below, and negative X is to the left. Each point corresponds to an ordered pair. So the first one is our X, the second one's our Y. If we plot this point, -2, 4, you go left -2 and up 4. You're like, this is way easy. It really is. This first section is really easy. If we have 4 and -2, we go right 4 and down 2. Here is an equation. So, relationship between two variables, we can write it as an equation of those. And just as a reminder, if it has x squared in it, what kind of function is that? It'll be a parabola. And what kind of function, what is it called? Quadratic, right? Okay, this one is absolute value. So we are going to graph this using our graphing calculator. Do y'all have y'all? Or one? Or you can borrow one of mine just whenever you finish with it. Then just leave it on your table so I can write it down. Yes. Okay, so I can go to my camera to show you my the camera. Okay. So we need to do absolute value, so we're going to go to y equals. And then we need to put in absolute value. You go over to number, or math, number, and then ABS. Absolute value of, what was the equation? Just x plus 1? Okay. X plus 1. Okay, and let's graph it. Okay, so we'll go back. Okay, so the absolute value of x plus 1, so the absolute value function makes a v, and it says select integers for x starting at -4. So that means we need to create a table of values. You can go ahead and write this part down. So write the equation y equals absolute value of x plus 1. And then we are going to put in numbers. So it says select integers for x, starting with -4. So I'm going to do -4, -3, -2, -1, 0, and ending with 2. We can use the table, right, in our calculator to find this, or we can plug them in. So let's look at our table. And we can go to second graph. And we need to go up to -4. And then we need to fill in our table that we wrote on. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and fill it in. -4, 3, -3 is 2, -2 is 1, 1 is 0, 0 is 1, 1 is 2, 2 is 3. Is that right? Okay, so we know it looks, go ahead and kind of sketch it out. Where is our x-intercept? Oh, y'all have a graphing journals. I totally forgot about that, so that's good. So it's -1, 0 is right there. That's our x-intercept. And -2, 1, -3, 2. So I'm just kind of sketching it because I don't have graph paper on here. And then 0, 1. So that's just a rough sketch and connect it. The line, I do have rulers if y'all want to use rulers. They're in the back if anybody wants one. So absolute value function looks like a V. And if it's negative, it's going to look like an upside down V. Back there, on that shelf, on the bottom. Okay, the next slide is what we've already done, but it's without using a calculator. It's by plugging it in. I'm not going to even go there. There is the beautiful and perfect function, unlike my little sketch. Okay. Graphing utilities. This is just a reminder that you can change your window size in your calculator to fit the data that you're given or the equation that you're given. You have minimums and maximums that you can set. Okay, so this is, you don't have to write this down, just look at it. What is the meaning of -100, 150 by a -100, 110 viewing rectangle? Well, that means that your x-min is -100, your x-max is 100, and your scale, what it goes up and down by, is 50. And then your next one is talking about the y, min, max, and scale. So the consecutive tick is how many increments is going up and down. Okay, intercepts. So just a reminder, x-intercepts is where it crosses the x-axis. Y-intercepts where it crosses the y-axis. And whenever you have an x-intercept, you have a number for x and a 0 for y. And then vice versa, whenever you have a y-intercept, you have x as a 0 and y as a number. Okay, so here is a graph. And all we're doing is identifying the x and y intercepts. So we just look and see where's it across the x-axis, where's it across the y-axis. So on the x-axis, it's at -3, 0. So the x-intercept is -3. And then the y-axis, the up and down, the vertical axis, it crosses at 5. So it's 0, 5 is the coordinate. Okay. That is it for these notes because it's just a review. There is one other thing that is on your assignment. It's talking about motion graphs. Motion graphs is like if I have an x and y axis where x is time and y is, let's say, the distance of something. So an example of a motion graph would be I start out at my house and then I run 1 mile in 10 minutes. So this would be I'd run 1 mile in, that'd be 10 minutes. 1 mile would be here. So it'd go like that. And then I start walking, and so my distance slows down, so it's not as steep for another 10 or 20 minutes. And then I take off sprinting. So I'm getting further, or my distance is going up as the time's going up. But then, let's say I take a break, I sit down on a curb somewhere. So then I'm like that. Do y'all remember these motion graphs? Maybe? Okay. So as you run into them, just think of what the x-axis represents and what the y-axis represents so that you can sketch out what this motion graph would look like. Okay? So your assignment is 1.1 on your My Lab Math, and y'all can go ahead and get started on that today.